Welcome back to the Abby Cakes YouTube channel. Today we are going to be adding a stencil onto our buttercream cake. So stencils are very popular. They're one of my favorite things to use, especially for a wedding cake. It's very simple but can dress up the cake and doesn't take over the design. So these are two stencils that I have today, and I'm leaning towards this one here just because it's pretty unique. So the stencil is going to go onto the cake like this, and then we're going to spread royal icing over the front of it and then peel it back to get the design. So our royal icing is medium stiff consistency. You can see, so it's got a little bit of peaks, but it's not super firm. It's pretty spreadable still. And that's pretty good. I'm gonna take this nice bowl. It's not mine, it's my mom's. It's helpful if you have a second person to do this so they can hold the stencil for you. So I might bring another pair of hands in. And also I will say, do not try to use buttercream over buttercream for the stencil. It will not work. I have tried it many, many times, thickening my buttercream, making it more stiff, and it never works. I always have to use royal icing over the buttercream and it'll work perfectly. So I'm just starting with a little spot in the middle here, and as I keep spreading, the stencil is gonna stay in place. The royal icing is so thick and stiff that it really keeps the stencil in its place, and you really won't need anybody to hold once you get it started. Add a little bit over here. Oh, that's good. Just trying to make sure I've got almost every part of the stencil touched with royal icing. Definitely the beginning, wherever your scrape is going to be, you have to make sure there's royal icing at the end here. Once you get over here, you know you're gonna drag more over as you're scraping, so it's okay if you don't get any towards the end of where the scraping is gonna be. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my scraper and I'm really just gonna go all the way around, and I'm not gonna do it twice. So I'm gonna do one nice firm scrape. I'm not gonna go back and do it again because I don't wanna mess up the stencil and move it at all. Okay, so now we will peel off. We've got a really nice design. It looks so good. I like the white on white look. It's very classy. So to do the back of this cake here, we are actually going to have to wash this and dry it completely before we put it back on here. So I will go do that. All right, we're back. The cake is all stenciled, and we are going to add some gold leaf throughout the design. On top here, add flowers and a topper. All right. I love using the gold leaf, especially if I'm doing a white on white stencil design, just because it brings out the design a little more. The gold leaf can be heavy, it can be thin, trailing, and stencils are another good way to just finish off and dress up a design. It doesn't even have to be a cake. It could be a royal icing cookie or a sugar cookie with fondant topper, and do a little stencil design over it, and it just takes up the design a notch. All right, we've got our gold leaf on, and now we're gonna start adding flowers onto the cake. We're gonna keep it clean and classy with white flowers. I have fresh roses, and I also have some dried floral to add as well. It'll be a nice combination of the two. For the most part, we're pretty much always using fresh floral. Occasionally we do have some couples that will make us Sola wood flowers to put on cakes, and those are really nice. But you can use artificial floral, you know, from a craft store. That will work too. You just need to make sure any flowers that you put on the cake, it's covered in floral tape, and you're really safe about what you put onto the cake. So for this cake, we are using fresh white roses. We've got a little bit of eucalyptus greenery, and then I'm gonna add some dried floral too. mostly for fillers. And I think it'll go with the whole stencil, gold leaf, raw edges. It looks kind of boho, and I think the dried floral just adds to that. So going with just a white on white and gold color palette. It's very sophisticated, classy, and very common for weddings these days. And it just kind of goes for any occasion that you might be having. It's very clean design. Okay, now we'll start adding some of the dried floral. So floral placement on the cake, it's really up to your discretion, however you'd like to design your cake. I think most common is up at the top, opposite bottom, but it definitely doesn't have to be, and it's kind of fun when you go outside of that box and do something a little different. For example, like a cascading arrangement going across the cake. So we also have a topper to go on this cake, and a lot of people forget the topper. It gets overlooked sometimes, but you can take care of it yourself. Your client can put it on when you deliver their cake or when they pick it up, but it just adds a nice final touch to whatever it is that you're doing. And so this is a wedding cake, so it's going to be a love topper as soon as we finish adding the floral. So when you're working with dried floral or any floral that can have a lot of leaves or lots of moving parts that you don't want to get onto the cake, I would just peel back some of those leaves so that you have more stem, and then you can go into an actual plastic straw to kind of hold them all together and keep them from touching the cake and then falling onto the cake. So basically all that's seen is the top part of it that's secure and it's not sprinkling onto the cake. So my straw's in there. The floral's not even touching the cake, but you can't see that from the front of the cake. All right, so we are all finished. We've got a buttercream cake with a royal icing stencil going over it, white on white, very classy. Some scattered gold leaf throughout, and a combination of dried and fresh floral, which looks really nice, and it gives it that boho feel, and then a gold acrylic topper. So definitely, if you have tried any stencils or you have any tips or you were successful with buttercream on buttercream stenciling, let us know. And if you have any questions, just like and comment below.